Okay, and welcome back. And before we go a bit further here, we're going to go and have a look at these security steps that we did in the previous tutorials. Now, we're going to go and have a look at these articles because of the fact that there's so much that we can do with IIS security that we just cannot cover everything in these video tutorials. We'll just be here too long. So I'd like you to go and have a look at these articles. I'm going to be including the links for these articles in the video description. And basically it just goes through some basic advice of how to go and configure the security for your IIS installation, like install only the appropriate modules and how to remove the modules that you don't need. I would suggest doing that at the end of building your web application, so that so you know what's going to be used and what's not going to be used. What we covered was the options method, and we did the enable dynamic IP restrictions. Now, a lot more of this is going to be dependent on your own personal final running the application on your server. So I would go through this once you've finished building your application and before you actually make it public, just to go through this checklist over here. And also, I would make a backup of your instance and then go through the security configuration wizard. Now, the reason I'm saying make a backup of your instance before doing that is if you do it wrong, you're going to end up locking out a lot of, you might end up locking out your system there and you won't be able to access it and you've lost a lot of work. And especially in a cloud environment like AWS, that's going to be quite a big problem because you don't have back-end access and stuff like that. So yeah, make a backup definitely if you're in a cloud environment before going through these the security configuration wizard and the compliance manager. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're just going to go and set up the DNS for the domain that we want to be using, and I'm just using GoDaddy. And I've already gone, and this is going to be vendor specific, but I've already gone and I've selected the domain I want to be using. I did that beforehand because I didn't actually want you guys to see all the domain names belonging to my customers. So this is a domain that hasn't been used yet for anything. And I'm just going to go into the DNS zone file. And you can see that some of the stuff is already set up, like the FTP. So we've got an entry here for FTP already set up, and we've got a CNAME entry for www, and they are pointed towards at, which is basically this entry over here, which is an A record, and that basically just specifies the host that we're going to be using as the root of this zone, and that is the host that it points to, but we're going to change that now to our own external IP address of our IIS server, and within AWS that will be the Elastic IP. So we're going to go to the EC2 management console, and we're going to just go into instances here, and we're going to check what is the Elastic IP or the public IP, which is this one over here. Just going to copy that, and we're going to go through and just change this one, which is the A record, which is basically a host record, which is usually an IP address. Now, what this means is time to live is the how long it's going to take. This is currently set to 600, which is 10 minutes, I believe, if I'm doing the right math. Yeah, 10 minutes. So I'm just going to finish that, and we just need to save the changes. So I'm just going to go and pause the video, and I'm going to confirm once that has been set up. Well, replicated, I should say, I beg your pardon. Okay, so the DNS is now propagated, and the record is now pointing whitehatsolutions.info towards our web server, and we have tested that by just typing it into the browser and confirm that the IIS 8 page comes up. At this point, we should have the port for port 80 locked down to just your own IP, so that during this development stage we don't reveal too much information to the public there. And also another good tip is, on that same note, is to actually just for security use custom error pages. We're not going to cover all that right now because we can't just spend all day on security. We actually need to carry on and just do a little bit more. But as I said, there's a lot of articles out here which I will be supplying links for, where you can actually go and read up about IIS security, SQL injections, and that type of stuff. So let's just go back to this server here. What we want to do now is bind that host name that we've set up. So we're going to go to the default website. I want you to actually create your own website, but for the purposes of this tutorial, we're just going to use the default website. We're going to go to bindings. We're going to go into we have to select the binding that we want to edit, which is the one for port 80. We will do a separate tutorial for securing SSL later, and also that will cover how to update and change the host name of your WordPress server as well, without losing access to it and without having to hire in a developer to fix it for you. Okay, so let's just edit this. And we're just going to put in the domain name that we've set up now, that we have pointed towards the server. For me, that's whitehatsolutions.info. Okay. And now that's been set up, we can just go ahead. I would suggest at this point just restarting the server so that all the changes that we have been making have taken effect. So just go restart it. You select it at server level over here, and then restart. And when it says ready, it means over here, it means it's done. Okay. So now let's go and select that default website again. You can see, okay, it's binded to whitehatsolutions.info, www I should say, and let's go and test that www binding out. www.whitehatsolutions.info, and it is resolving to the web server, the IIS 8 installation. That's great. Okay, so what we need to do now is we can go ahead and start installing WordPress, because now we've got the host name binded and the DNS sorted out. We know what host name we need to configure for the installation of WordPress, which makes it a lot easier, because if we have to change that later, it's a bit tricky sometimes, and you would prefer to have this set up right now. So let's go back to that instance there. We're just going to go and open up the Internet Explorer here. Actually, we're just going to close that. We're just going to the test over here, and we go to Get New Web Platform Components over here. And as you can see, this is now trying to open up the web page. So let's just go close that. I'm just going to close this. Now, I think that we're probably going to get blocked from trying to download this because of the security. Yeah. Okay. Let's temporarily just disable the enhancements, security enhancements for Internet Explorer there. So we just go into Server Management. And I don't want you to leave this off. Once we've finished with this, we're going to turn this back on because it's quite important to have this on the server. So we go to configure this local server. And just wait for it to update this information. Or we can just click on it while it says unknown. Just select off for administrators. Okay, so we just go back in over here and we click the link again. And it should open it up. Here it is. Okay, now it goes in straight away without going through all those security warnings. And if we click download free now, yeah, it's now letting you download it. So let's just run that. Okay, that's great. So let's close that off for now. Now, if we go to Get Web Apps, and we see, okay, here we go. We have WordPress is actually the most popular one. So if you just go and you select Install, and you select Install Now, what it's going to do is it's going to start the installation of the WordPress using the Web Platform Installer. And it's also going to install PHP and MySQL. Now at this point you should have your key pass ready, because you're going to need to store a lot of passwords and generate a lot of passwords within the next 10-15 minutes. So you just click install now, and we're going to just go run, and it's going to say yes to this security warning. Okay, so now actually, okay, before we carry on, let's just see. Yep. And it is the version 4.4, which is good, which is released in December of, which is, yeah, about a month ago, just more than a month ago. We're just going to go install. Now we need to start doing the password management. So okay, and here we go. Is we only need to go and start a new category. So I've got Windows over here. I want to do a subcategory. So I'm just going to go and right click this and select add group. I'm going to call this WordPress. Okay. And I want to add a key to this group. I'm going to call it SQL roots. And we're just going to call the username root. And we are now just going to go and select OK to this. And we're just going to right click this and say copy password. we're just going to paste it in here. Okay. Go continue. Now it's going to tell you what we're going to be installing here. It says WordPress, MySQL, Windows 5.1. It doesn't tell you about the PHP, but it's also going to be installing PHP when you, because it's one of the dependencies. So we just go and select the privacy. I accept. And here it starts running through the installation. So we're just going to go and stop the video right here, and we will carry on. Okay, so now WordPress has actually gone and started the installation. The web platform installer has started the installation of WordPress, and we have now got to this configuration page where it's asking us to configure the site. And because we have already binded the domain name to this port 80 for the default website, WordPress has determined, the web platform installer has determined that the default website exists, so it's offering us to install it there. You could drop down here and select whichever. If you have more than one site, you can just drop down and select the site that you want. It has already detected that we've got a binding on the site, which is www.whitehatsolutions.info. So it's already detected that, and it's told us that if we want to, it's asking us what would we like to name the application. Now, what will happen is if you leave this as WordPress, at the end of each URL, it's going to be followed by /WordPress / your page name. Which you might not want for security reasons, so you could change that, or you could leave it blank. Now, if you leave it blank on IIS, what is going to happen, it's going to follow the / with index.php / whatever, which doesn't really look very pretty. So you need to think of something that is relevant to your site. In most cases, I just put in pages. Sorry, I'm not got a very tiny keyboard here. Pages. Okay. And we just go continue. Now we need to start doing is, and this is why I wanted you to have the key pass ready, is we're going to have to go and make up keys for all of this. So I'm just going to go and start generating some keys, and I'm just going to put these into key paths. And we need, so what we need is an authentication key, secure authentication key, logged in key, and nonce key, and we need salts for the same. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to first start off by just creating the keys that we need. The first 4 keys, which is authentication key, and we want secure authentication key, sorry, this keyboard is terribly small. Okay, and we want logged in key, okay, and we want a nonce key. Okay, we're going to just go and duplicate these entries. Okay, and we're just going to edit these. We needed a salt for each of these as well. There we go. We just generate a hex for it. Okay. And we generate a new hex for it. And once again, a new hex. And once again, another new hex. Okay. So we got all the keys that we need. We've got them generated. So now let's just go ahead and assign them onto the WordPress installation. So the first one we need is the auth key. So just copy password and put it in there. Okay. Now we've got all that in, and what we should do now is, just before we go any further, just save the keypass file, and now we can continue. Okay, so it's telling us what's been installed. So let's have a look. We need to copy these now as well. So this is just the database settings. I'm just going to go and copy this to clipboard, and I'm going to just go into the key pass again. I'm going to create a new key again. WP SQL user. I'm going to put this into the whole thing into the notes, with the exception of the password. And we're just going to go and save that, and we need just for convenience, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it into the username. Okay, there we go, and that is now the WordPress installed on IIS, and it is now ready for configuration. So now what we can do is we can just test that out. So I'm just going to go to my local, well, here it is now. It's actually just launching up to see if it can find it. It's probably not going to be able to reach it because of I've locked this down to the port 80 on my local machine only. So I'm just going to go onto my local browser, and I need to go to hostname, which is www.whitehatsolutions.info/pages, because that's what we set up as the application name is pages. I'm just going to close this off, sorry about that. Okay, once it's loaded up, you can see now that WordPress is ready for installation. So we can just go continue, and now it's just going to ask us for the name of the site, which is going to be White Hat Solutions. And I'm going to call this test, and I'm going to go and put in a email address. Now this should be your own email address. I'm just going to put in my one of mine, and one of my existing ones. Now, this is where WordPress is going to send you alerts and emails, but nothing's going to work in relation to emails just yet, because we still need to set up a SMTP server on this IIS installation, which is what we're going to be doing within the next couple of video tutorials. Okay, so now we just need to go and take this and make sure that we put this into the key pass. Create a new key. WP admin user. Okay. And that was test. And I'm just going to replace that password with the password I got from the website. Okay. And I'm going to save this again. Now we know that the username is test, and we got the site title, we got the password, we set up an email address to get the alerts sent to, and this is dependent on whether or not you want your site to be indexed by search engines. If you disable this, then your Google ranking will probably go down quite significantly. I haven't actually tested that out, but I've never actually discouraged the search engines from indexing us, because I actually want to be appearing in search engines and be visible. So we're just installing now. Okay, so it says success. That means that WordPress is now ready. So we can log in. And now from here, it's pretty much like you are with a hosting provider. Everything from here should work pretty much the same, with the exception of the SMTP and the FTP, which we still need to set up. So I'm just going to go and get this username. And the password. Okay, and from here it's pretty much a clean install of WordPress. The moment we got the latest, we got WordPress 4.4.1 is available. Please update, because we're currently on 4.4. So we need to do an update. Now I'm going to show you what's going to happen when we try and update this. We're going to go update now, and it's going to fail. Well, it's not going to fail. It's going to ask us to perform the requested action. WordPress needs to access your web server. Please enter your FTP credentials to proceed. Okay, so what we need to do is we actually need to give WordPress access, FTP access, but we don't have an FTP server installed yet, which is what we're going to be doing in the next episode of this video tutorial. So yeah, I'll be back to you guys hopefully within the next 15 minutes, and we will carry on with the video tutorial.